This episode is brought to you by Bella Torres Publishing, bringing stories to the world that last forever.
Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy, the husband and wife podcast talking all things fantasy fiction. And this is a random book review. Had you ever picked up a completely random book and wondered, could this be a hidden gem? Well, that is exactly what this series is about. A series where I choose a completely random book, read the whole thing, and then review it with the hope of finding a hidden gem. Today is the turn of the Dragon Shifters Mate series by Eva Chase. For this review, I read all 4 books in the series to bring you the good, the bad, and the truth about it. But first, let's start with a spoiler-free summary. Ren is a 21-year-old woman who hasn't had an easy life since her mother disappeared without any explanation. But everything changed on her 21st birthday, when she gets kidnapped by a very handsome stranger. At his large house, she discovers something shocking. She is a dragon shifter. And that's not really a spoiler, it's very clear in the title of the series. But that's not the only surprise. The attractive man who kidnapped her is also a shapeshifter, but he turns into a jaguar. And there are 3 other equally attractive men who can shift into an eagle, a wolf, and a bear. And here's the twist. She doesn't have to choose just one of them. All 4 of them are destined to be her mates. Ren now has to quickly learn how to transform into a dragon, how to rule in the Shapeshifter Kingdom, how to solve the mystery of her family disappearance, and how to balance her new love life with 4 men while she's still a virgin. Now, let's start with the good. The first impressions of the book are actually really good. Basically, almost every fantasy element you expect from other worlds appear here. You have shapeshifters, of course, but also vampires and fae. All of this is set in our real world because the story is an urban fantasy. Another thing that caught my attention immediately because I hadn't seen it before is the multiple point of views through the series. You get Ren's point of view plus the point of view of her 4 mates. That means 5 different perspectives telling the story. The author also does a good job keeping you interested and moving you forward to the next chapter, always making you wonder what's going to happen next. But now it's time to talk about the bad. For me, there were a few moments where the characters didn't feel very believable. For example, when Ren first learns she is a dragon shifter, a completely strange guy she has never met before simply tells her she is a dragon shifter without proof or demonstration, and she just believes him. She behaves like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Sure, tell me more." Of course, we can say she was feeling things that she can't explain and for her make totally sense, but I'm expecting at least a little more of resistance from her. Also, the multiple point of views were interesting at first, but about halfway through the first book, they started to become a bit of a problem for me. And this might be more of a personal issue than a problem with the book, but I'm really bad with names. Honestly, you can tell me your name and 5 minutes later, I have forgotten already. And when you have 4 different characters that you're still getting to know, it can be difficult to remember who is who. So if you are like me, you might struggle with that at the first book. After that, it becomes much easier. And last but not least, this might also be more of a personal issue, the idea of Ren, the main female character, having a romantic moment with one guy and then 2 chapters later having another romantic moment with a different guy made the story feels a little bit flat for me. And don't get me wrong, I would feel exactly the same if it were a man having relationship with 4 different women. The problem is the same. It doesn't feel like love, even though she tells each of them that she loves them. Love is one of the most powerful forces in the universe, and you feel it more when it's shared with someone special. And here, even though the story is presented as a paranormal romance, most of the time it feels more like a sex story more than a love story, regardless of the words they say to each other. And of course, some people might say you can love 4 people equally at the same time. That's something I personally have trouble believing, which is why I say this might be more of a personal issue than a problem with the book itself. And now, for the people waiting for the spice rating. From 1 to 3 chiles, I'm giving this book 4. 1 for each main character in the story. Think about the spiciest story you read with just 2 main characters. Now add 3 more, and that should give you a pretty clear idea of what's happening in this series. In the first book, it's not that intense, since Ren is still getting to know them one by one. But by the end of the saga, she is doing so many things that if you're not prepared, it might make you feel uncomfortable, especially the last one. And finally, the truth. Would I recommend this series to you? Honestly, no. But will I stop you from reading it? Also, no. Like I said before, the author does a good job telling the story and giving you just enough to keep reading. And it must be doing something right, because I end up reading all 4 books. Despite my mixed feelings about the first book, I couldn't give it more than 2 stars at the beginning. But my rating slowly increased as I continued the series. From 2 stars to 2.5, and finally 3 stars by the end. And that's my final rating for this series. I'm glad I found out what happened to the characters and the story, but once I finished it, I didn't feel the need to read it again or think about it afterward. One thing I can say for sure, this book is not for everyone. If spice is your priority in a story, then yes, go for it. But if you're looking for a deep romantic connection between 2 characters, this might not be the book for you. But if you had read it and have something else to say that I didn't mention here, please leave it in the comments below. This has been a random book review, a series where we keep searching for a hiding gem. Don't forget to follow us on our social media and Instagram and TikTok at Faithfully Fantasy Pod, where the best parts of the show will be there. And with this, we have just one more thing to say. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy, the husband and wife podcast talking all things fantasy fiction. We'll see you very soon with more books, more fantasy, and of course, with more Faithfully Fantasy. Bye!